Indie game developers often struggle with one big question. How do I market my game effectively with limited resources? The good news is you don't have to invent your marketing plan from scratch or rely on guesswork. Instead, you can learn a ton by researching your competition, that is, researching similar indie games to see what they did and how well it worked. It is not as complicated as you may think. The first step is deciding which games to analyze. You need to target indie games comparable to yours, not the latest AAA blockbuster from a huge studio. Why is that? Because indie RPG made by a two-person team cannot emulate the marketing budget or tactics of Call of Duty or Warhammer and games like that. Instead, find games in your similar genre and scale what works well. But how can you find the right games to analyze without being swamped in the amounts of data? I use Video Game Insights platform that provides relevant data for us, like revenue by genre. It helps us to identify games that succeeded in the market. So, for example, if you're doing 2D platformer, you go to Video Game Insights, search for other 2D platformers. You can filter it to particular genre of 2D platformer, for example, precision one. And it is better to look for games released in the last couple of years to see which ones has strong sales. As I have already mentioned, indie market evolves quickly. I would like to note that Video Game Insights does not provide data on wishlists, but I will tell you later how we can approximate that. And if your game is totally unique and you can't compare it with anything else, you should pick games that overlap with that by genre. You will certainly find these types of games. It will make it achievable for you. You don't need to limit yourself to one title only. You should pick 3-5 titles, that will be enough. So you won't be swamped in data. You can include 1 or 2 dream successes that you would like to achieve and a few more, let's say, realistic examples. It's better to be more realistic, but at the same time dream big. So if you're making a game similar to the Fears to Fathom series, that means you are working in the realm of short form, atmospheric, narrative-driven horror, often with realistic environments, with slow burn pacing and episodic structure. So you may have 3 core comparables with the same structure and feel, such as Demante the Adventurer, Maple County, The Bathhouse by Chilasart, and some other additional interesting titles like The Closing Shift and Rewind or Die. Alongside Video Game Insights, you can use SteamDB. SteamDB is a must-have tool for competitor research. It tracks public info from Steam, most importantly the number of followers on the game's Steam page. You can also find info like release dates, price history and concurrent player counts, and estimate possible numbers for your game. The thing you should certainly do is looking at the SteamDB follower graph for each competitor. Like here, do you see points where the line shoots up noticeably? For example, let's pick upcoming 2D platformer Croak. We can notice that they have a surge in their followers number after February 20th. We can go to their Twitter. Here we see that they were presented at some event, and then they were featured at the YouTube channel Best Indie Games in these dates. So this is the way you can research that easily. Now I'm answering the question on how to estimate the number of wishlists of your competitors. One tricky aspect of Steam is that the number of wishlists of any game is not publicly visible. However, you can infer the number of wishlists by looking at the game's followers. This information is public. There is a known correlation between follower counts and wishlist counts. It was observed that most unreleased games had around 5 to 14 wishlists per follower. In other words, it became common that one subscriber equals 12 wishlists. A well-known video game marketer, Zukowski, estimates that one follower counts approximately 10 followers. I think it's easier to count it as 10 wishlists because it's just easier to multiply that. Also, pay attention to when you are observing the follower count. Followers accumulate over time, and if a competitor's Steam page has been up for a year, there are 1,000 followers, it's around 10k wishlists. They were gained over a long period. Another competitor might have like 500 followers after 1 month, and it indicates a faster rate. Now let's talk about key marketing events. When you analyze followers growth, you will always see that there are certain jumps over time in the number of followers. And this is usually caused by marketing events, such as releasing trailer, Kickstarter campaign, featuring the game in Steam Next Fest, etc, etc. So this benchmark becomes your compass. If your numbers fall behind your competitors, you should adjust your strategy. And if you're matching or exceeding them, it's a very good sign. But do not limit yourself to quantitative data only. Go to your competitors' YouTube or TikTok and observe comments. Probably somebody found this game on Reddit or saw an article about that. These hints will show you which marketing channels worked for them. Now let's move on to these jumps in follower counts. Let's take a look at Spray Paint Simulator. You can see a jump in followers after February 24th. So when we go to their Twitter, we see they launched a demo that day and announced their scavenger hunt contest. So we can clearly see here that when you have a big event like a demo launch, you start going hard to gather as many wishlists before release as possible. And then we also see that they repost several streamers playing their game. It's made to amplify their wishlist growth. And this is a great example of how a coordinated marketing event paired with community engagement creates a measurable impact. So yeah, this is the way you can research that. If you see any jumps in their follower counts, the first thing you do is go into Twitter. If you didn't find anything on their Twitter, you should try to find any outlet like IGN mentioning their game or streamer playing it. Also search for Reddit posts, because some games can gain thousands of wishlists just from one viral post. And if you can't find anything on the internet, you can just ask the developers. Sometimes they are open to share this information. I like the example that Chris Zukowski mentions. In 2021, Plesaura Summit Kingdom blew up on Reddit. There was one post that caught 73,000 upvotes and earned the game 11,000 wishlists in just a single day. So these insights can show you which traffic works better. So literally it can be anything. Steam Next Fest, TikTok video, Reddit post, etc, etc. Okay, now let's move on to the most boring part. Beyond big surges, you should understand the baseline growth. Not every day is a spike. Many games gain wishlists steadily through discoverability, word of mouth, and ongoing posts. So how to measure baseline growth? You have to divide total wishlists by days since Steam page went live. And if there were surges, you should segment the timeline to see the normal rate outside the event. SteamDB can help you with that. Baseline tracking can help you to set expectations for your game's growth. For example, if a game went 5 wishlists per day and then suddenly it went like 30 wishlists per day, it's highly likely that they went full promo of their game. At some point, you will think about going hard into marketing and buying paid ads. This might include paid ads like Google ads, Reddit ads, Instagram ads, press outreach, streamer outreach, devlog campaigns. This is a very cool stuff, but only run paid ads if you have a decent organic traction. If you can't grow organically, paid ads won't help you. And if you make your research, you can see that many games see the jump in their follower count after they launch the demo. So do not forget to do that. And during full promotion, when you buy paid ads, you should certainly coordinate it with your organic efforts. So you are probably asking me now, when should I go full promo? Most devs do it around 2-3 months before release or around some major event. You can do your competitors' research, and if you see this surge in follower count like 3 months before release, it's likely that they had some kind of paid promotion. And finally, consider the factor of choosing the right genre. Some genres like survival or roguelikes just naturally receive more attention than other genres, while a narrative puzzle game may need less wishlists to perform well. So always compare your game within your niche and check Steam tech pages. Do games in your genre have lots of followers? You can look at player counts using SteamDB and estimate marketing size for your game. So if you are in a small genre, it's totally okay to have modest targets. But if your game's genre is crowded, you should aim high to stand out. So as you can see, researching your competitors gives you real-world insights. It also helps you to build your marketing strategy and set wishlist goals. And of course, avoid many common mistakes. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.